What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Welcome to the Connectors Corner, where we build everything on kingdom principle. I am your host, the Master Connector, Drew Dockery. I'm a business coach, and I help sales pros and entrepreneurs, as well as small business owners, not leave money on the table by doing three simple things. Number one is monetizing your relationships. Number two is growing your network. And number three is making proper connections. I am also the author of this wonderful book here, The Connectors Handbook. If you don't have it, you definitely want to make sure you get it. Should be right here in the picture in the screen. So make sure you get that book, The Connectors Handbook. It's going to show you how to move and groove correctly when you're in the rooms of greatness. And hopefully it'll be the blueprint to you having your $1 billion room experience. So today, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about something I was talking about with a client of mine, maybe about a week and a half ago. I did a post about it. I definitely have been trying to give this a lot of thought because although having momentum in a business or in a push for whatever level you're going to look for or whatever you're trying to get to, whether it's a career or business, we all have to have that same momentum push when it comes to building anything. But we're talking about business here, right? So I was talking with a client of mine, and they were just asking me about, the consistency of building. And what I told him was, I work best in short periods of time. I can do a lot of work in a short period of time, and I can't do it for an extended period of time. So let's just say I break my business down into like 90-day intervals. So for 90 days, I'll get real aggressive. I'll blow it out the water. I'll go, hard, just grinding it out when it comes to building whatever it is I'm focused on. So you get a good 90 days nonstop out of me, right? After that, it's time to chill for a little bit. We'll just, wait for the momentum to kind of catch up and see what we've done right over the last 90 days. That may take a month. It may take another 90 days. But eventually I get back to another 90-day push for me, all out, aggressive, massive action. I've learned a couple different principles. When I built my first, I would say, real successful business, my first six-figure business was definitely, it took a lot out of me for that push. And we did that within a 30-day window, right? The second business, which was my seven-figure business that I ended up building, that took a little while, but it was a lot of principles that I had applied, that I had learned, and we did it in spurts. So that's when I learned how to really pace myself when it came to building the businesses that I was a part of. So even now, what I do is I try to funnel people, my clients or prospective clients, into one specific area for one event. Whether it's a live event, whether we are doing a workshop or something like that, it could be whatever. It could be a live event, it could be a webinar, it could be a summit, anything where there's a controlled environment, right? Now I'm giving you guys activity. We're going to break down the momentum because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about momentum today. How do you create momentum? And I think I jumped ahead. But typically this is how I build it. This is the blueprint. We funnel everybody into one event. Everybody kind of picks and chooses who wants to be involved. From there, we move them along the process of building them and helping their network get them all to one event because we're looking for controlled exposures, right? So that's what we look for. We look for controlled exposures. And that's controlled exposures is you having everybody in a certain environment where you're in control of the dynamics of where you are. So it could be a room, it could be a conference call, that's kind of old school. It could be a Zoom webinar or something like that, Google Meet online or whatever, one of those video chat apps or websites. But either way it goes, we do a lot of exposure in a small period of time and we compress the time frame. Now, when I was talking to my client, what I told him was momentum takes everything to gain and almost nothing to lose. Momentum takes almost everything to gain. It takes everything to gain and almost nothing to lose. Write that down. Please take that into consideration when it comes to building or doing whatever it is that you're doing. Momentum takes everything to gain it and almost nothing to lose it. Even I think the Bible talks about it. I'm not here to push religion. We're talking about principles and concepts, right? It talks about laziness and, a little folding of the hands and closing of the eyes for a little too long, and poverty will set up on you. That's tough because you can't rest for too long. So what is momentum? Again, we're not doing real definitions here. We're talking about principles, philosophies, and concepts. All right. This is what we talk about. So the principle and the concept of momentum, it is a strong push into a certain direction, and all of your energy is put into that particular push. That is not the specific definition. Look it up. You want to find out what it really is, look it up. But no, that's really what momentum, like how it works. So momentum, when you look at it, you can liken it to spacecrafts, rocket ships. When they take off, they use the majority of their fuel on the launching pad, right? I don't know how much they weigh, but I'm quite sure it's going to be a lot of power generated to get that craft to be lifted up off the ground and then continuously to break Earth's atmosphere. So I'm quite sure it's going to take a lot of power to do that. You need a lot of momentum. That's where the momentum comes from. So most of the fuel in a rocket is pretty much used on a launching pad. They power it up. Eventually the power takes over and that rocket begins to take off. And as it takes off, it gains speed, momentum, velocity. By the time it hits Earth's atmosphere, where gravity releases its hold on the rocket ship, it's in a whole nother place. And now it can just take Earth's orbit. It doesn't have to come back down to Earth because it broke the gravity field, right? This is not science class, but I want you guys to get the dynamic of what we're talking about here, because your business or your career is built the exact same way. So when I was being romanced by this tech company, before I really jumped into business coaching full time, right, heavy, I was mapping out about $100,000 in commission in a 4-month time span. I knew it was only going to take me 90 days to do. That was the time frame. 90 days from, I think it was October 1st to December 31st. This is where we're going to be. $100,000 in commissions knocked out at least on the bare minimum. Now, what I did was I set up very smart exposures for this particular company. As I set them up, I got connected with the right people. So I didn't have to talk to 1,000 people in a short period of time, even though the 1,000 number, 1,000 new prospects in your or prospective clients in your network added to your network in a 12-month time span is guaranteed to get you a 6-figure income for sure, or more. You should probably be touching about $1 million or $500,000 with that many people exposed to what you do in a short period of time, right? But with this company, it was about $100,000 in commission I had mapped out. I knew it was going to be more than that, but I knew I had cleared the 6-figure mark just from what I was doing alone. And it was mainly because of who I got connected to. I got connected with a gentleman who was at one of the local hospitals. He was over the tech department for both of those hospitals. And for the technology that they needed to have 2 hospitals in separate places, one here in Buffalo, the other one in Batavia, to get new products that I was going to be selling. And because of my relationship to the person who connected us, we definitely had, once we spoke on the phone, he was all in, because their contract with whoever they were using was over just about. And it was perfect timing. So everything was set up perfect. I didn't have to do too much legwork. It was pretty much set. But that created the momentum. Now, from there, my other move was to go get connected with a lot of the religious leaders in the area. So I started reaching out to a few of them. And what I was planning, what we were putting together was a lunch and learn. And there was about 20 to 30 pastors who needed that technology in their church offices. So I was pretty much set. I wasn't too worried about whether or not, I was going to hit the income level I wanted. And that was all done within about 2 to 3 weeks. But my activity for the next 3 months was set up. So I mapped it out. I planned it out. It was perfect. I didn't get the position though. And I told the story about that one of the earlier videos. So if you want to, you can go back and check that out. But yeah, I didn't get the position. However, I really understood what it means to plan. He who fails to plan plans to fail. He who fails to plan plans to fail. So you have to plan your work for sure. What my mentor used to tell me, plan your work and work your plan. That's tough. Plan your work and work your plan. So you plan your work, and then whatever you're planning in your mind or whatever you've written down, go and work it out and see what the results look like. Typically, that's where the momentum comes from, right? So like I said, momentum takes everything to gain and almost nothing to lose. Why does it take everything to gain it? Well, like the rocket ship example, it's going to take all of the fuel, almost a lot of the fuel, to get that rocket off the ground. In order for you to really, really break through the atmosphere of success to the atmosphere of success that you're looking to get to, you're going to have to be able to break those barriers. That's going to take momentum. It takes a lot of fuel, a lot of energy, a lot of resources to do that. So you got to put a lot of activity up front into what it is that you're doing. So me personally, if I was setting up a summit or a workshop, I would have to connect with probably about 500 to 1,000 people to invite them to this workshop, just to have a decent amount of people show up and be able to, go from there with the event, expose them to what I'm doing. And that's a controlled environment, right? So I'm doing a lot of different presentations. And in those environments, you have the most success. You have a bunch of different things that play for you. You have the idea of social proof. Who's in the room? Who's also interested? You have momentum being created because now what typically I usually build looking at the 80-20 rule. When you control the environment and you have a controlled exposure and you're operating under the A3 formula, you pretty much raise your percentage to about a 50 to 60% closing rate. So if it's 10 people in a room and you're speaking with all 10 of those people at the same time, same business conversation, right? You'll have at least 5 to 6 people getting involved. So that's a good number. I don't look for everybody to sign up, but I do want to get a large percentage of whoever I'm connected to decide to work with me. Whoever I'm having this conversation with. If it's 10 people there, I want at least 10 people buying the book. Not 10 people, but if it's 10 people there, I want at least 5 to 6 people buying the book. If it's 5 to 6 people buying the book, I want at least 2 or 3 people getting into the mastermind programs. So that's the end all be all. But however, it creates that funnel. So with momentum being the way that it's set up, it's hard to gain. It takes so much energy to gain it. You have to really put a lot of work in to get momentum. You see it in the sports world too. Like a lot of teams, they'll go on win streaks and they'll win maybe 10 to 15 games straight. And then they'll end up losing the game that they probably should have won. Too cocky, they get too comfortable. It could be a number of different things that play. However, what happens is they take that L, right? And then that breaks the winning streak. So what happens after that? Well, now they got to rebuild the momentum all over again. And I know you're not going to be able to keep momentum for an entire period of time. It's designed to be short bursts of energy. It's not designed for you to just have momentum throughout the entire time you're building something or going after a goal. It doesn't work like that. You get a specific allotted time because everything has a time and a season for it. So you get a specific allotted time to go after a specific activity to look for a certain result. After you do that over a certain period of time, okay, be ready to shut it down. Now you can kind of ride the wave of the momentum and you go back to your plans, get some new contacts, new people in your network, and prepare for the next wave of momentum that you're looking to create. Now, why does it take nothing to lose almost? Because you can just do all of that work. And if you just do all of that work, depending on what your profession is or what you're doing, business wise, you can do all that work up front, and then eventually everything kind of fizzles out. The energy you put in, the effort you put into whatever you're doing at a certain point is null and void. Why is it null and void? Because it's not created to just be something that's always happening, always. Typically, if you got a product, or even I'll take a service. I got clients who are in real estate. Hey, if somebody buys a house, you do a lot of momentum marketing or whatever, and you pursuing a lot of prospects or whatever, putting a lot of advertisements out there. That's great. You're getting a lot of looks, you're getting a lot of exposure in a small period of time. After somebody says, okay, I want this house, or can you take me to go see a couple houses? The problem that they have is they think it either has to be busy, 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 busy all the time, or they just busy a little bit and then they don't do anything else. And they try to just ride the wave of the little bit of momentum they may have created in their business or in their profession. So what you want to do is keep the momentum going, but understand that the momentum is cyclical. It's cyclical. It's not going to go, it's not going to stay with you all the time. It's not going to be a consistent thing all the time. But you do have a period of time where you can go after it, and you got a period of time where you need to rest. And then after you rest, you got a period of time you can go after it again. How you break those periods up is based on you. It's based on you. You are the only one who could decide that. So that's why I say it takes almost nothing to lose, because you don't have to do much of anything to lose the momentum of whatever it is that you're doing. So you want to make sure you do what you can do to maintain it. Now, in those places where you're not building aggressively, putting a large, massive action into whatever it is that you're doing, you still want to have consistent activity. So if I was to do a bunch of major exposures and funneling a bunch of people to a bunch of different events I'm having, after that 90-day period, I'll be doing some other things to grow my network still, while I'm still working with the momentum wave. After that, you set it back up for another momentum wave, all out massive actions, and then you relax a little bit more. So when you build your business or you build your career or your profession, and you look at it in waves, because there are always going to be times where people are buying and people aren't. People are buying at one point, then they're not. A lot of times during the holidays, like Christmas and Thanksgiving, most businesses slow down. And the thing is, that is the time where you kind of rest if you can. Some do, some don't. It depends on what your business requires or what it calls for. But if your business will allow you to still, in those down months, still be able to, do some things and pick up momentum, by all means, go ahead and get it. But if it's not designed like that, if your business is not set up like where that's a privilege, or that's something you can do for your business, then I would say find what the consistent activity needs to be during those downtimes. Because now you have a consistent amount of growth. And I'm telling you, if you work your business this way, you work your profession this way for 12 months, all I need is 12 to 18 months to show you how the mastermind works. You take my system and put it into that time frame, I don't see why you wouldn't make money. If you don't make the money that you're really looking for, getting you closer to your income potential, and that income potential equation is 16.667 times whatever amount of money you've made, the most in a 12-month time span. So you multiply that. If what I'm telling you does not get you closer to what you're trying to achieve financially, then, I don't know what to tell you. I can tell you this: if that happens, you're probably doing something wrong. You're missing something somewhere, because I've not seen this not work for anybody. My business coaches, my mentors, $1 million earners, some billions. They've made crazy amounts of money when it comes to business, and they've done some major things in business. They're like artists when it comes to building businesses. But I tell you this, when I found out how that worked and I applied this principle of momentum to everything that I was doing, I've seen major results and jumps in my income. I've seen other people have the same amount of jumps. Buddy of mine, I can't say his name. He just reached out to me a couple days ago about a business plan, something he was working on or whatever, trying to get me to come check it out. And I'm like, yo, I'm focused where I'm at. But at the same time, I remember when he was in New York City, he was building and he was creating momentum. And after a while, it fizzled out. But once he got the hang of understanding how to build momentum, he built momentum in New York City and then moved to Atlanta. Now you can really turn it up because you're in a place that is ready for your momentum because you're meeting people, you're connecting with people, and you're having the same amount of activity. So it was 30 days in New York City. He left, went to Atlanta. About 2 months later, next thing I know, I get a notification. He's one of the next top earners in that company. And my thing is, I'm like, well, momentum definitely played a part in this business, and it makes sense. And I'm just using him as a lower level person because he's a regular dude. He's cool. It's my guy, but he's a regular guy. And because he employed these particular tactics and strategies that I'm trying to teach you guys when it comes to connecting, when it comes to mastering a connection, when it comes to monetizing your relationships, growing your network, and making proper connections, he was able to see the benefit from it. So I'm not telling you guys something that's hypothetical or just a concept. I'm telling you something that I've not only employed in my own business, I've seen other people do it. I've taught it to other people and they've done it and they've seen major jumps in results when it came to what it was that they were doing. So what I'm trying to get you to understand is pay attention to how you're building. The momentum is so key. Remember, it takes everything to gain it and almost nothing to lose it, but it is cyclical. It goes up and it goes down. So during those down times, you have to figure out what's consistent in your business or your profession. What do you need to consistently do? And from there, you can go ahead and make some things happen. And then now you're prepared for the next wave of momentum when it comes. So hope that was helpful. That being said, that was our talk for the day or for this week. If you guys want me to do these a little more often, a little more regular, let me know. Comment, like, share, inbox me, email me, or whatever. But just let me know because I hope you guys are getting value out of this. I'm giving you guys free value, free information. I'm hoping you're using it. I'm using it. If ain't nobody else capitalizing off of it, I'm definitely doing that. So, I'm good. You know what I'm talking about. But no, yeah. So, like I said, hopefully, reach out to me. I'll hear from you. Let me know what you got going on and how we can, be of value to you and how we can help you achieve your goals. So, with that being said, like I tell you guys every single week, dream bigger, believe better, and expect greater. I'll see you over the top.